Hey guys, welcome back to GuitarAnimal.com. This is Trent, and today we're going to go over some guitar playing basics, which are going to include how to hold the guitar, where to put your hands, how to use your hands, where the arm goes, and all this kind of stuff. Mostly for a beginner, but some of you advanced players might get something out of it, so take a look at it and see what you think. First thing we're going to talk about is how to hold the guitar. Basically, this cutout on the guitar goes over your right leg, so we move the whole guitar from the center kind of to the right. That brings this neck into a good playing position in front of your left arm. So you want to hold it that way. We don't hold it like this. This is a banjo. Nothing wrong with banjos. We're not playing a banjo. We're playing a guitar. So it's over here. One take on that. Flying V's, this would be okay, because one of the V's has to go down between your legs, the other one over here, or it goes like this. So if you're playing flying V's, strap, stand up, man. All right, let's talk about arm position and posture. Basically, the left arm's hanging down from the body straight out to the guitar. You can reach all of the fingerboard that way. The right hand is coming down, the arm is coming down about a 45-degree angle across the strings. We don't want to be like this. We don't want to be like this. We want to be about 45-degree angle right towards the strings. Left hand position, we basically are hanging the hand on the neck, thumb over the top, and it allows a nice relaxed posture to the hand. We want the neck to be in the palm of the hand and fingers coming around onto the top. Right hand, again, right here, 45-degree angle from the bridge, somewhere around the bridge here. Allows for palm muting. We'll go over that in just a few minutes. We don't want to be up here, so right around in this area here, particularly on electric guitar. If I'm using this back pickup and I'm muting here, you're not going to hear anything with that pickup. It's going to be quiet. So you need to be behind it. Sound is on this side of your hand, not really back here, particularly when you're palm muting. Right, finger placement. Basically, we're going to be using fingertips most of the time, the very end of your finger, just like pushing a button. Sometimes we use the face of the finger, but most times we're going to be using, depending on a chord we're playing, but most times we're going to use our fingertips. So bring the fingers around, have the tip pointing straight into the wood. And that way we can access individual notes very cleanly. I do like thumb over the top sometimes. I actually use that to play a chord. The only time I won't have my thumb over the top is if I am bridging. I would be using a bar chord, and in that case, thumb's going to be right in the middle of the back of the neck, right underneath my bar finger. But that's the only time I would have the thumb on the back of the neck. Otherwise, it's going to be over the top. And it's really relaxed posture for the hand. All right, we're going to talk about where do I put my finger. Obviously, there's a good bit of space between frets here. If I'm going to play the 3rd fret, the best place for my finger would be right behind the fret. I don't want to be on top of it, but I don't want to be too far back. What would be fair game, or the best area we could use would either be right behind the fret, all the way back to about the middle of this span will be okay. Depending on the chord we're playing, sometimes we can't get each finger into the perfect position. You can see on my G here, my ring finger has to be in the middle of the span because my little finger is displacing it. The problem is once you get back too far away from the fret, if you're back towards the next fret, the note's going to buzz right on top of the fret you're holding because you're so far back you're not holding the string down securely enough. So it's going to rattle on top of that fret. So right behind the fret to about the middle point, sounds fine. You get back too far, we pick up a buzz. So watch for that. Where to place your fingers when you're playing a chord, it depends on the chord. I'm playing a C chord, I can hit all of those positions right behind the fret. Very cleanly. D, pretty much the same thing. If I'm playing a G, as mentioned before, my ring finger is going to be back to about the halfway point, and that's okay. If I'm playing a bar chord, many times I have to displace at least one finger. This is a G bar chord, and my index or my ring finger here is actually midway point on the 5th fret of the 5th string. How hard to push the strings down? We don't really want to push the string down all the way to the wood because we can actually push it out of tune if you can listen closely. That's what I get when I push down too hard. I actually make it go sharp, so then it would play out of tune. So if I push down really hard and play a G chord, it's really out of tune. This guitar is actually in perfect tune. I'll play the G chord without pushing down so hard. It sounds fine. So we don't want to hold it too tightly. So that brings up the point, how hard is too hard or how light is too light. If I touch the string, that's too light, that's a mute. I start increasing tension, I'll pick up a buzz, a little bit more. As soon as the note rings clearly, that's exactly the amount of tension that you want. If you have too little, it's either a buzz or a mute, and too much, it'll be out of tune. So you need to kind of fiddle with that. And for each one of your fingers, you really need to practice that so you know how hard to grasp the strings. A lot of my beginning students tend to either not push hard enough or push down too hard. Okay, so think about that, work with it a little bit, avoiding those mutes and the buzzes. How to hold the guitar pick. I'm going to hold the guitar pick this way, where it's basically perpendicular 90 degrees to my thumb. If you had an imaginary center line of my thumb and a center line of the pick, they cross at 90 degrees. My thumb will be traveling parallel to the top of the guitar, and the pick is sticking out 90 degrees right towards the strings. My index finger on the other side of the pick is actually pointing right at the tip of the pick. And we pretty much know where our pointer finger is and what we're pointing, so it helps to control the pick if we do have it held this way. Some people will hold the pick between their thumb and their middle finger. Eddie Van Halen does this, so I can't say it's wrong, he's pretty good. But that's unusual, most people don't do that. It's usually index and thumb. And we will move back and forth, or at least I do, on the pick. If I'm going to strum something, I'm going to back up on the pick, have a lot of pick sticking out for flexibility. I'm going to play a single note line. I'm going to choke up on that for control. I have very little flexibility and just a little bit of the pick sticking out. So you can practice this, moving around on the pick, try different pick gauges, things like that. We do have a video on choosing picks, so you can take a look at that and see if that helps you out. I like a pick that is, this is a David pick, I talked about it in the pick video, and it actually has different gauges depending, or it responds differently as different gauges would, depending on where I'm holding the pick. If I choke up on it, it's very stiff. If I back up on it, it's very flexible. And again, check out that video on picks and choosing picks. I talk about this pick in detail. All right, should I always use a guitar pick? No. Sometimes you'll use a pick, and sometimes you'll play with your fingers. Really depends on what we're playing. You get a different tone. I use the flesh of my fingers. I don't have long fingernails. I also play bass. So I want to have my fingernails short, and it gives you a certain tone. Some guys that do finger style, which is what you're doing when you're not playing with a pick, would have their fingernails long, and they would play with their fingernails. Sounds more like a pick. I don't do that. So use a pick for certain things, and fingers for other things. When we're learning to play the guitar, we're basically doing what's called building muscle memory. And the way that we do that is through repetition. So we want to practice and log as many hours in per week as we can. The more hours that you log in, the better you're going to be. So it's practice, 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 and then more practice to get the muscle memory to where you want it, so you can actually play without thinking about every aspect of this. I like the shotgun effect of practice. Basically, it would be better for you to practice 15-minute practices, but do maybe 14 to 20 per week, as opposed to just 30-minute practices and then you go 24 hours before you pick up your guitar again. I'm going to have a video on a strategy of how to practice, but I do like multiple small practices, but many of them over the course of the week, so you gain this muscle memory and you don't lose it. There's shorter times between each practice, and so I think you retain more. So try that and see if it doesn't help you out. And basically, we want to try to develop good practice habits where we don't skip days of practice. Every time that you skip a day of practice, let's say, for example, we played Monday morning at 9 o'clock, and then we didn't practice Tuesday at all, and we practiced Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. It's actually basically a 48-hour span you didn't touch your guitar. You're going to lose 2 to 3 days. You're going to slip off of what you've built, skipping that time. So what you want to do is try to practice a little bit each day. On days that you're very busy and it doesn't seem like you have much time to practice, I would at least pick up the guitar and play 10 minutes. At least you've got something that day, so you're trying to save what you've gained the day before. I hope you enjoyed this video and find it helpful. I'm Trent, GuitarAnimal.com. Thanks for tuning in.